All right, so welcome to another student success interview. Today on our interview, we have Austin. Thanks for jumping on, Austin.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to do this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as we're kicking off this student interview, if you don't mind me asking for you to share the name of your channel and then maybe just briefly describe why you started a YouTube channel in the first place.
Yeah, so the name of the channel I started is called Militology, around military history. I started this, I came across your content on Twitter. I'd been generally interested already before that around like just YouTube. I've seen other channels I'm interested in, similar channels that I maybe try to emulate and then do my own thing with. And I'm like, I feel like I could do that better, or I could do that as well. And I've always been passionate about history, been passionate about military, telling stories of heroes, things like that. So yeah, that's why I decided to get into it, and I started kind of going down the rabbit hole of how can I do this? Can I do this? And realized I think I can, and so I gave it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been rather successful at that so far. And I guess it's one of those things where people look at, hey, this is interesting. First, there's that peaking of interest of like, maybe I should give this a try. And then they also see like, hey, this is also a way that I can turn into an income stream and maybe have a creative outlet. So I think that's what a lot of people are looking for is just
Yeah,
something else that they can start to build. A lot of people are builders and they like that idea. So that's excellent. And you're producing roughly one video per week. So as you were building up your channel, like I said, it's been rather successful so far. Were you doing it while you were working a 9 to 5? And if you were, how did you go about managing the production of your videos?
yeah. So yeah, I am. I'm working a full-time job right now. Have a small family, two kids, wife, and like how I started approaching it to do the videos is I did a lot of research up front where I was like, I want to do this right. I want to have like high quality videos and production. So I learned a lot through you, and using different like Fiverr, Upwork, those tools to find people that could help me with the video production, voiceover, and also script writing. So I took a lot of time up front to like, okay, what's the name of the channel? I secured that first and kind of created that channel, but I didn't post any videos yet. And then through that, I did a lot of iterations of finding the right script writer. So it was, again, good quality content. And then finding the right video editor. So that took a lot of time up front. And I didn't post my first video until I think it was November of last year. So like November 2nd, 2023. So I actually had some videos done ahead of time so I could post like maybe two videos per week for the first like 2 months. And I'd spent a lot of my time usually outside of work because I wanted to obviously still do good at my job. But I was able to balance it, and it wasn't a lot of time because again, I outsourced. I was able to outsource a lot of it up front, and I just did homework on kind of recruiting the right folks. Um, and so anyways, doing all that kind of up front, I think helped a lot of time, but I would spend probably about 5 to 10 hours a week, maybe closer to 10 at first. And then over time, like once I found the folks that were going to be part of, I guess, my channel, and all the things that go into it, it's closer to like 5 hours per week. So usually would be doing that either before or after work, or if there was some downtime, I could take advantage to do that. But it was definitely, I think, easy to balance it all. It's not impossible, and it's good way to do it.
Yeah, I think people get a little nervous because there is that demand or almost sense of need to build an extra income stream because of
Right.
evidently how expensive things are getting. And this is generally why
Yeah.
people turn to YouTube, but then they think, okay, well, like, is this going to be a full-time second job? I might as well just get a second job then.
Right.
And I think what you're saying is like, yeah, you need to definitely put in the time up front to build the team. And as you said, like, with the guidance and everything that you received, it's like we can absolutely do that. And then as you have the team set up, you get those economies of scale when it comes to time that
Right.
you put in that initial investment. And then the team is basically trained to a certain degree of what they need to be doing. And then it makes the production process relatively streamlined. I think people don't understand quite how hands-off it can be once you have put in that upfront time. But yeah, I think that is probably the best way to really run it if you are working a busy 9 to 5 and have a family, because you don't really have all the time necessarily to crank out all those videos that you need. And sometimes, let's just call a spade a spade. You may not be an expert in editing or script writing
Right.
or voiceovers. So by leveraging other people's expertise, I always say that you're able to scale up your video quality faster to get to the point where they're going to obviously perform on the platform. So I think that was a pretty savvy way that you approached it. And that's usually what I advise people to do, especially if they're strapped for time and they have other priorities. Outsourcing is why I like this business model because no matter where you are in your phase of life, there's ways to maneuver it to make it
Yeah.
work for you. So it's absolutely
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
And maybe you can talk about now. So you're saying you're outsourcing and you're obviously spending some money to do that, but also too, your channel's making money. So I was wondering if you'd be willing to share what your biggest income month has been on YouTube so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, after I started working with you, I saw better success faster than I thought I would. But I started working with you even closer to say, okay, how can I do better at this, right? And actually make more money to do it. And as soon as I started working with you, the best month I've had so far was $1,858 in a month. And then the next month still earned $1,400. And then last month earned $1,800. And I'm on pace where I think I'm at my floor where it's like I'm on pace to again meet $1,800. And I'm not really doing the volume of the videos I want right now, and that should get back to like where I want to be. So I'm really happy with the channel's making good money right now. So I'm making money off of this, off of like to the last question of what the production costs are with me outsourcing. I'm not having to spend a lot of time, so I'm making money um, overall, like month over month. So I'm super happy where that's at. And so at this point, it's like, how do I continue to scale it? And I'm super excited about like the direction of that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
That's quite the
totally.
feat. I mean, to make a couple extra $1,000 a month roughly,
Exactly.
that's
Right.
huge for a lot of people. And I think that people think I need to make 10 or $20,000 a month to really notice it. But like you make an extra thousand or two, that's your mortgage payment or
Yeah.
groceries. Like
Right.
when you really break it down to what it means for the average person, I think that's absolutely incredible. Plus you like it, plus you're just really getting started, right?
Right.
So at this point, it's like I'm really just diving in now. Like now I know
Yeah.
what I'm doing. It's time to crank this up, and you will start to see, especially the content you're making, which is more evergreen, is that those views and those videos will stack upon one another.
Yeah.
So like you
Exactly.
said, that floor continues to be there, and then you build upon it. So, yeah, thank you for sharing. That's obviously excellent that you've been able to get to that point, and I'm sure once we have a little update down the road, you'll be
Yeah.
much further ahead, right?
Totally. And I think the other great thing about it too is it took me only about 30 days to actually get it monetized following your playbook. And on top of that, it was about, I think 6 months in since the first video was posted where I made that $1,800 a month. So I'm like,
Mhm.
again, super excited. This channel's like 9 months in and I'm super excited where it's at and where we're going.
Yeah. So you and I were working relatively intimately together to get this off the ground and really get it to where it is today. So what little aspects or things that we worked on did you find like that really took this up to the next level or where it is today versus maybe before we started working together?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the biggest things that we worked on was, how we packaged my videos. Like you were
Mhm.
huge on that at the beginning, where you gave me feedback where it's like, hey, all your video quality is pretty much the same in regards of it's good, but how do we package each video? So I think that's something that you worked with and you're still working with me on to hone in and just make sure we're reaching a more like a broader audience, if you will. So I think that's something that really took this channel to the next level about 4 months in or so. Once we started doing that, I've seen the best months, the best success, and most consistent views. Still working on that consistency, and I think that's something where I need to take that coaching to continue to take to the next level. But yeah, I think that's been the biggest differentiator to just get the videos out to a broader audience.
Yeah, and I think like you alluded to is like the video quality is good and like you were almost hindering yourself by how you were packaging it. And so just from us like going back and forth on what that packaging could look like to like you said reach a larger market, that's all it really took, right? So sometimes
Yeah,
people do need a lot more revamping to get their channel to where it needs to be. Sometimes it's not as much as you would think, but it's really like working with someone that can highlight these things because like you could have just kept going down this path, producing these really great videos, but no one would have seen them, and that would have
yeah,
been frustrating. This is why people quit, is because
yeah,
they keep making videos, either spending their time or money, and then they're like, this isn't working. And
right.
the reality is, you just needed a couple of tweaks on your titles and your thumbnails, and us going back and forth a bit about ideation, and then
Yep.
we've gotten to this point. So when you know what you're doing and you've been able to, continue it so far, is, get things up to a point where now you know the methodology or the approach, and now it's just kind of rinsing, repeating. And
Yeah.
so that it's important to have the knowledge, otherwise, yes, it can be quite the frustrating process.
Yeah.
So just to
Totally.
wrap this up, the one last question that I want to ask is, by most people's measures, you have a successful channel making you, up to 1,800 bucks a month. So what's the best part about having a successful YouTube channel?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the best part for me is it's really been like getting more involved in the niche that I'm in. I've always been passionate about that niche from when I was a little kid to now that I'm an adult, which is like military history. So I think for me, it's been meeting other people in this niche. Just networking with other content creators, channel owners, people on other social media avenues, which has been super fun. Making an extra income to support the family. That's been huge. Obviously, that was a big reason why I started the channel as well. And it just so happens I get to do it with a niche that I'm passionate about. So I think that is like a win-win for me and hopefully for viewers that subscribe to the channel. So I think for me, like that's been the most like fun and rewarding part of doing this is kind of spreading really cool stories from history and making some side cash for the family. And hopefully it just continues to grow from there and meet new people across the niche and yeah, go from there.
Yeah, Austin, you're doing absolutely fantastic. So thanks for jumping on, sharing your experiences, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where you take this to. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam.